Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, and but yeah, Orlando's too far, Mr. Kemp. Sir, I can't. I can't. I'll go to Miami, but I will go to Miami.
That's okay.
So how are we doing? How are we doing this today? What did I miss? Maybe you guys were talking about already.
So we're going to do introductions. So
Okay.
Dom, you're going to go first, then Carrington, and then Joseph. I'm going to, of course, open up and say welcome to everyone. And then you all can, I'll say, Dom, do you want to start first? And then you'll start introducing yourself, Carrington, and then Joseph. And then we'll jump right into the questions.
Okay. All right. And the audience is going to be asking, or we already have, I saw the set questions that you had.
Somebody named Lorene trying to enter. Do y'all know a Lorene?
I don't know Lorene.
Yeah, that's I know what that is.
Okay.
So she was trying to get on, I guess. She would have to go through your tribe.
Yes. She can and she can automatically be put in the group too. It's automatic.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's her. That's my significant other there.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Hi, Lorene.
Oh, this is gonna be good.
Yeah.
This
is gonna be good.
That's my lady, my special lady there. She's trying to hop on.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go live.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. We got some ladies coming in. Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. Hi, ladies. Thanks for coming in the Facebook Live group. I'm super excited about tonight because you all sent in some amazing questions. I have 3 men here with me today that are going to introduce themselves to you all for the Men Tell All SOULKATION Life class. Dom, you want to start and introduce yourself to the ladies?
Yes. Hello, ladies. I'm Dom Walltower. I am a violence prevention advocate out here in San Diego. I'm also a life coach dealing with individual and relationship issues, and background is in social services and social work for the last 20 plus years. And so I'm just really excited to be here and to hopefully answer some of these questions and help whoever needs to hear it.
So me, myself, my name is Carrington Brown. Hey, ladies, straight out of Dallas, right? I am a relationship and life coach, and primarily what I do is I work one-on-one and in group settings, assisting individuals to create healthy and thriving relationships with the source, Jesus Christ, themselves and other people. Along with that, my beautiful wife and I, Ashley and Power, some of y'all may know her. We have a ministry business organization together where we teach and train individuals to do dating and relationships successfully.
Wow.
Awesome. Hey, ladies, I'm Joseph Kemp. I am a life and relationship coach. I am focused and committed to singles and couples, helping them just to be able to build generational health, understand the importance of that, passing out to the next generation. I also focus on coaching men on a one-on-one basis, helping them just to gather an identity for who they are, to be able to rise above those stereotypes that most men deal with throughout their life. So I'm happy to be here.
Yes. Thank you, gentlemen. The ladies said hello. Hey, Krishnan. Hey, Citra. Hey, Cammie. Thanks, guys, for coming in. And I am Logan Renee, founder of the SOULKATION brand, founder of SOULKATION University, and host of the SOULKATION podcast. I hope you all have your notebooks, you have your water, you got your heart ready for some good tea. Okay, we're gonna start off, and gentlemen, we're just gonna let it flow. You know, whoever wants to answer the questions, the floor is yours. So when it comes to marriage and finances, should you share accounts or have separate accounts?
So I'll jump on that one. So for me, as a man of God, as a Christian, the Bible talks about when a man gets married, he is to leave his mother and father and be joined together, cleave together, cement together, become one with his wife. And so my perspective about finances and marriage is that if we're one flesh, if we go from two individuals to one flesh, then what is the need of us having separate accounts? So I'm an advocate of joint accounts because it just allows you to one, work together as a couple, grow together, build together as a couple, but then it also allows you guys to trust each other and see maybe if really, let me say it like this, see who's which role in the marriage as it pertains to money. Because normally you have that spender and then on the other side, you got that saver. And so having that joint account, one, it allows you to see who is who and which is which, but then also it allows you guys to come together and build a financial legacy for your last name.
That's good. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Gentlemen?
I would jump on that as well. I would say both. And the reason why I say both, I agree with everything that you said in reference to having a joint account. I think that's healthy and you can plan around it. I don't think there's anything wrong as well with having your own account. The reason why I say that, a lot of people will lose their individuality when it comes to relationships. So I think having an own account just for yourself, that if you want to do something, you don't have to kind of necessarily check in with your partner, you can. So you set up the joint account for maybe like your main bills, everything that you want to manage together as a couple. And then if you have an account, if you want to have the freedom to buy something for yourself or do something for yourself, you can. It's not a situation of like, oh man, well, why did you spend this money? What's going on here? Like everything's been regulated to the account you have.
Yeah, and I agree with both as well. And I see the value in having both sides of it and having, as Carrington mentioned, building that trust, that connection, that legacy. If you're in a marriage and a committed relationship, but also I also see, as Joseph said, sometimes, and I work in the field of domestic violence, and one of the arenas that we see is that people lose themselves. They lose themselves, and on one extreme or the other. And for me, I'm a fan of balance. I'm a fan of balance. I'm a fan of all things in balance, not extremists over here, extremists over there. Just let's meet in the middle somewhere. So I do see the value in having a joint account. I think that's a great idea to have a joint account together. And as you mentioned, paying bills together and doing things, joint ventures together. But also, for my partner, I wouldn't mind her having her own account. That's not a problem for me.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So, some of the ladies said, but definitely need my own. But we could definitely.
Yeah, I would imagine. I would imagine. Shocker.
So what are some red flags for the single ladies in the group? What are some red flags should she be looking for to determine if he's serious or he just seriously playing?
I think for guys who are serious, there's a few things that are going to be common amongst them. One, he's going to be attentive. Men who are very serious about relationship, they're watching everything. They are observing your character, how you interact with people, the words that come out of your mouth. They are observing the way that you respond and interact because they want to know who you are. They are considering you possibly the future as a partner, which means they're also thinking about kids. So they're going to be very attentive. You're not going to have to chase them down for their attention. You're not going to have to blow up their phone to get in contact with them. Mm-hmm. They will make time for you. They will carve out time in their schedule for you because you are a priority to them. So a very flag or I guess a sign you should say if they're serious is that they're always going to make time for you. They're going to always be paying attention to you. So you don't have to worry about that.
100%. Love what he just said. Just to piggyback on that, when it comes to red flags, I would say that, two words that come to my mind that every relationship, if a man is serious, that will be a part of it, are pursuit and promotion, right? And so when we talk about dating in general, The man has a role, the woman has a role. It's the man's responsibility to pursue, and it's the woman's responsibility to position herself to be pursued. And so when a man is intentional, as Joseph was talking about, as it pertains to pursuing, right, that intentionality, that focus, and that being intentional about creating and making that quality time, I like to tell people like that pursuit of the true pursuit of a man answers questions before they even arise, right? If you're in a situation as a woman where you have to ask, hey, where is this going to go? Where is this relationship going? What is it happening? What are we called? That means you're not being pursued, right? Because when you're being pursued the way that you're supposed to as a woman, if the man is serious about you, you won't have to ask those questions, because his intentionality about coming after you will already answer that question. And then along with that, that second word was promotion, right? If a red flag, if you're connected with somebody as a woman, if that man is not promoting you in his life, that means you guys need to come to the table and have a conversation. And promotion looks like bringing you around friends, bringing you around family, having those forever conversations, talking about his vision for his future and including you in it, right? Allowing you to put your two cents in and having some form of influence of it. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, and I in agreement with both of those points. And I would add, as far as red flags, I think timing is important. Timing is important because a lot of times, we're caught up in the romanticism of relationships and not the reality of relationships. And the romanticism is, the Notebook and Titanic, all these movies, Love Jones, and the reality of relationship. It's not this, ride on the clouds, and so to speak. So for me, I always, I mention the concept of slow motion. Slow it down. It's okay. And sometimes even a lot of ladies, they're on a time frame. I need this now. I need to be married by this time. And that's just like, okay, that's how you end up in hot garbage situations, because you rush into it and then you're not stopping to think and then actually vet this person. Because I have a policy. You don't know a person until at least a minimum 2 years. That's my own personal thing. It's just 2 years. But people, you're going to see them in all types of environments. You're going to see them, upset. You're going to see them happy. You're going to see them through different seasons. And that's how I look at it. Like, so as the seasons of life come through, you want to see them in different seasons. Sometimes what we do is that we see everyone in summer and we're saying, I want to be here with this person. But you don't know what they're like in wintertime. You don't know what they're like in fall. You don't understand what they're like during those times. And the fact that they don't even know how to adjust to these different seasons. So for me, I always say, try to see the seasons of a man. You want to see the seasons. You want to see when he's up, when he's down. You want to see what happens with his family. You want to see when, struggle hits. And then you can make a decision as you're building. But, speed is a very, it's a tricky situation, because of course we all want to be in a relationship. And in the beginning, everything's good. Every time they speak, glitter comes out of their mouth. They float on air. We know all of that. But I'm waiting for that to stop. I want that to stop. I want the reality of this relationship to kick in, and I want to see who you are. Okay, your breath stinks in the morning, your feet stink. Okay, I can deal with that. All right, you want to see the reality of the person. So slowing things down is a really big deal. The red flags are when people push really hard, when men push really, because as Carrington said, you want a man to pursue you, but sometimes we over pursue. There is such thing as over pursuit. And you're like, slow down. No, we need to do this now. I just met you 2 months ago, and we're like, okay, we need to be together every day, all day. And so again, I go back to my favorite word, balance. It's balance. Like, how do you balance these circumstances out? But moving too fast, having a bunch of secrets, not being forthcoming every time, not being able to be present in the relationship, in the moment. Sometimes there's always something else, and we know the feeling. We all know the feeling. We know the feeling. It's just like this gut feeling that we have, like, okay, something's off, So, but I timing and balance, those are really, really important to pay attention to, and to just, again, slow down. It's okay. Like it's okay. In Carrington's point, if you if you trust God, God's got you. God's got you. Like if you say you trust God, you don't have to rush. He's got you. You know, he's so just slow it down and just really put it in God. Say, okay, Lord, if this is who you have for me, then, you know, I really want to see who this person is and not get caught up in the beginning, because I want to say this and I'll end this, but we are masters of the beginning. We're masters of that. As men, we are masters of we will tell you everything you want to hear. We will make it sound nice, package nice. We will, and then after you're hooked, that's when the problems come in. So again, I'll leave it there. Slow down.
So sad, Dom. That hurt us right there.
I'm sorry.
They could answer a question that came in the chat. She asked, what if you're older and you're single? And you know, some ladies have been waiting around for a while. Let's say celibate for 5 years, 10 years, not dating, not doing online, but putting herself in the right environment, putting herself around the right people. And it's like, okay, I've been waiting. What would you say to her?
I would say to her the same thing. You can rush if you want. You can rush if you want. And I would ask, you know, what in life is actually good when you rush?
There we go.
I mean, what works out in your life when you rush? Just because you've been waiting. I mean, if I waited 5 years, I can wait 2 more, and you know, I'm okay. And sometimes though, we have to become familiar or understanding of the concept that it's okay to wait. We have this peer pressure, we have this pressure we put on ourselves, you know, and maybe it's not the season or the time for that. But I mean, again, it's above my pay grade to tell. I mean, if you want to rush, have at it. And I would ask this question: how's the rushing worked out in the past for you? How's that working out?
Well, you're getting some amens in the chat, so they agree with you, honey.
Yeah.
So let's curve this a little bit. We're gonna throw a little monkey wrench, just real quick. Okay, so let's say somebody's been with their partner for a long time, and sexually they want to express that there has been some sexual shortcomings. Sex isn't as enjoyable, but a person that is in love and if they're with somebody they truly respect, I'm sure it's very hard for them to bring that conversation up. How would you even like for your woman to bring that up, or how should we bring it up to our man that sexually is just we're not rocking?
So
go ahead, Carrington.
Look, I'm like, oh man, I don't, you know. So this is what I'm saying. So I'm gonna go with this. The way that you have tough conversations are you sandwich them, right? You give that positivity, then you had a tough conversation, but then you end it off with the positivity too. And so when it comes down to it, this is the thing. If you're in a committed relationship, if you're in a phenomenal marriage, you deserve to be pleased physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, point blank period. And so when you're in a marriage, you have to understand that it is your responsibility to, and this may sound bad, but it's your responsibility to teach and train somebody how to love you, right? That's why, what's my man, Gary Chapman wrote the 5 love languages, because love has many different faces. And sometimes love looks different to everybody, which is why you need to take the quiz to learn your love language, to learn how you experience love, how you receive love, what love looks like to you. And so when we're in a committed relationship, we have to understand that we're on the same team and we both have the responsibility to each other to please each other physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So when having that conversation, I would say the best way to do it is to be straight up with it, right? Sit down with that individual, just let them know, hey, you know, babes, I love you and everything, but there's one area of our relationship that I'm kind of, you know, would like for us to be more intentional or, you know, do differently, you know, that would help me, right? And then just bring it up. And so this is a phrase that I learned from a pastor friend of mine at a marriage retreat a couple of years ago. So he was having some sexual issues with his family, right? He was like, I mean, not with his family, but with his wife. And it was like, I ain't getting it. He was like, I ain't getting it the way that I want to get it. I'm having a challenge. And he said what he did was, instead of asking her, like, what's wrong? What's the issue? Why not? He said, he went to her one day and said, hey, babes, how can I help you help me, help us, right? What can I do to make whatever's going on with you better so that you will have the energy and the time and the excitement to want to help a brother out, right? And that tough question about a man maybe not being sexually pleasing to his significant other, all she has to do is say, hey, baby, this is a situation. I want us to have the best sex ever. So because I desire that, a way that you can help me to make this whole experience for both of us better, right? Because if it's better for me, it's gonna be better for you, is by doing this, and this, right? Being open to this, being willing to try these different things. And that's how you had a conversation. Make him see the benefit for both of y'all, not just for you.
Yeah.
Y'all got it, ladies?
I would piggyback off what Carrington said, and I would say that we as men as being visual, like there's no limits to how you can express it to them. Like you can even take it to the next level. Like you can present it to them like when you're wearing something that's sexy or attractive, you can approach them like with perfume on, and you can tell them like, I want you more in this way. And you can explain to them like whatever that position is or whatever that would help you to be fulfilled in that way and present it to him, because now you will give him a visual up front as he's looking at you, but you will also give him a visual of what you're looking towards. And I don't know any man, if you tell him as a woman that you want more of him and you want more of him in this way, that's going to respond in a negative way. He's going to be like, oh, you want more of me? Okay, yeah, what I need to do. And you let him know and he will make it happen. So it's just all how you present it to him.
Yeah. Presentation is extremely important. And to me, I see this as a communication issue. Hopefully you have that type of communication in your relationship where you can speak about difficult topics, because a lot of times in our relationships, we don't have that pass. You know, we tiptoe around issues, or we avoid conflict, you know, and we don't address it in a healthy way. And so then only time it comes out is in an argument, you know, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. Well, I don't like having sex with you. What? And so it's in the middle of an argument. And so I would hope that, you know, as Joseph mentioned, the presentation is important. And you know your man. You know your man. You know how to talk to your man. You know what, maybe if he after a meal, that's the best time to have a conversation with him. You know, I do presentations for a living. I go around and I speak. And one of the things that that's very important to me as a presenter, as a speaker, is to make sure that I'm making my presentation palatable for my audience. So if I'm speaking to commanders on base, I'm talking to them in their language. If I'm speaking to teenagers, I'm speaking in their language. Whoever I'm speaking to, I'm making sure that my message is receivable to them. So a lot of times we speak from our perspective, but we don't understand that the other person may not get that. So so the presentation is important, and it should be customized to your partner. Who is your partner? How do they best receive information? Consider that, and again, hopefully you have a communication style where you can have that difficult conversation in a way where it's not punitive or it's not demeaning. You know, because this is a delicate issue with men. This is, you know, you're touching on a man's pride, is, you know, our ego and all those type of things. But I do believe that, you know, as women, you all have the intuition. You pay attention to the nuances of people. So you should know how to talk to your, you know, partner. And if not, you know, see Carrington, he can help you.
Okay, this is good because we can go into communication. How do you convince your boyfriend, fiance, or spouse to go to therapy if he doesn't want to? Like, you know, the communication is off. You know, something has to change. You tried all your tricks. You read Gary Chapman's book. You know, you're trying it out. You're at the marriage retreats. Nothing is working. You don't need a third party. So what do you do then?
So I believe in.
I would take the.
You go ahead, Joe. You go ahead, Joseph.
Go ahead, Carson.
Well, you got it, boss.
I would take the approach of present it to him in a way where he will understand it. Kind of what Don was just talking about, knowing how to communicate to him. So most men care about legacy and they care about their family. I would present it to him in that way. Hey, baby, I want us to be whole as a family, and I want us to have the best possible relationship that we can have, and I want our kids to be able to prosper as well. And so for us to go to the next level as a family, like, this is what we need. Like, you have to present it to them a way where it doesn't appear that you are attacking him or you are making it seem like he's a problem, but you're presenting that this is something that's going to make us whole as a family. I believe that most men will respond in that way, where you don't make it just about them, but you make it about us. Like you take that approach.
Good stuff.
Go ahead, Karen.
Okay. And so just to piggyback on that, and Dom kind of, touched on this in the last question, but a situation like this is actually not solved when it arises, but it really needs to be taken care of beforehand, right? So one thing I always talk to people about is the importance of non-negotiables and expressing clear expectations for relationships. And the reason why is because one of the top causes of divorce is unmet expectations. But what the top cause of unmet expectations is unexpressed expectations. We get in serious relationships assuming that both parties have equal expectation, when it's like, no, we got totally different backgrounds, totally different upbringings from different places. You from Montana, I'm from Oak Cliff, Texas, in the hood. So it's like, how can we expect to have the same expectations? And so that's why it's so important to, before you even get in a serious relationship with somebody, to have those tough conversations, ask those tough questions, and get on the same page as it pertains to expectations, so that you're proactive. Mm-hmm. You're proactive, right? So when you have those tough conversations, ask the tough questions, it positions you in a place to where you can answer the question and solve the problem before it even is a problem. And so I would just advise whoever's in a situation like this, like, you want to be intentional about having those conversations beforehand. But if you are in that situation right now and you didn't have that conversation, I think Joseph hit on it, right? You got to just present it in a way that the individual that you're in a relationship will actually understand it and not take it as you saying that it's something wrong with them, right? Because a lot of times when you come to a man and say, hey, let's go to therapy, initially we we already taught that feelings and emotions don't matter. So why would I go to therapy if what I'm about to talk about don't even matter? But then along with that, it's a matter of you telling me we need to go to therapy. What's wrong with me? What's my issue? What am I doing wrong? And so you want to present it in a way that he knows that, hey, it's not a matter of you being wrong or me being wrong, but together we're having some challenges, right? And in a situation like this, because we haven't been able to correct it together, then let's bring in a third-party professional that's non-biased and not so close, so that they can see what we don't see in the situation.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You bring up, Carrington, about the pointing the fingers, because I know quite a few couples that when they mention couples counseling, they're like, we need to go to couples counseling because you got some issues. So you have some issues. And so it's like, well, no, I'm not going. If you tell me that, I'm not going. But if you present it to, I'm all about the team concept. So if you present it to us as a team, our team is not doing good. So if our team's not doing it, we got to go to upper management and figure out what's going on. So we need some outside help to get us to the place where we need to be, because clearly it's not working between you and I. If we could have changed it, we would have. And so I'm a big fan of relevance, a huge fan of relevance. When it comes to counseling, and again, I work in the domestic violence field, so I have to talk to men about getting help. That's probably one of the most difficult things to do. But if you can make it relevant to a man, and relevant, like, why is this important? Why should I do this? And if you can make that relevant to him, and because one way I ask is like, okay, what's important to you? I ask, the men I work with, what's important to you? Now, more often, my family, my job. Okay, what would you do for them? Anything. Okay, would you go to counseling? You said anything. Would you go to counseling? So but if you have to tap into what's important to them, and if it's not important to them, they'll tell you that. They'll tell you, oh, it's not important. And as Joseph spoke about earlier, like, if a man is, when they, when they're intentional, when they want this. But it's really important, the presentation, making it relevant to that person, and then sometimes if your partner doesn't go, then you go. You just continue to go, and you continue to show up, because if it's something that you need, that may help you, because it really is a difficult thing to get people to go to therapy, men and women, because therapy's counterintuitive. We're not taught to do that. We're taught to ignore it. We're taught to, just walk it off. It doesn't matter. You had this traumatic experience in your life, walk it off. So again, relevance and then presentation is really important, and not pointing the finger saying, yeah, we need counseling because you're crazy. Yeah, I'm not going after that. No, I'm not going. I'll go the opposite direction.
So how do you keep your relationship, well, keep your man mentally stimulated? So you're not having the same conversations, you're able to switch it up, get to know them on a deeper level, especially if there's years behind the relationship. How do you keep your man mentally stimulated?
I would say by being a great listener, right? When you guys are having a conversation, what is he talking about? Observe his tendencies and what I would say his hobbies may be, right? Because as we get older, as we grow, like our interests change. So, hey, what is he interested in now that he wasn't in before? Okay, now let me ask questions about this, right? Along with that, I would say, be intentional, and this is both sides, but be intentional about spending that unrushed quality time together by yourself so you can actually have those conversations, right? A lot of times the way that life is set up is just busy, 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 go, go, go. And especially if you have kids or you're a business owner, it's like it's always moving pieces and it's always something to get done. And so you have to be intentional about prioritizing the priorities, like Dom said, and then scheduling out that quality time so that we can be intentional about having those conversations and discussing the changes, because once again, we change, right? It's like, for example, with the, Gary Chapman again, like with the 5 love languages. When my wife and I first took that test, my love language was physical touch. I'm a man, makes sense.
Shocker. That's all of us. That's all of us.
And so hers was quality time, right? At the time, we retook the test about 3 months ago, and my number one was words of affirmation, and her number one was acts of service, right? So she enjoys quality time, but she would more so appreciate me washing dishes or folding clothes or giving these babies a bath and feeding them and putting them down so she don't have to do it, right? But the only way that we would know that is if we actually sat down, schedule out time to sit down and have the conversation of, hey, I wonder if this area changed, I wonder if that area changed, and then actually spend time having that conversation, testing it if there is a test for it, and then getting clarity about it.
Yeah, I like what Carrington said, and I would like to add to that. I think of 3 words when I think of the word communication. I think of timing, approach, and words. It's funny, I said 3 words. So I think timing always matters. Being aware of when to talk to that man and when not to. You can kind of get a feel for a man that his head is not clear, or he's not in the right headspace. Pick and choose your times when you actually talk to him. And then your approach, always come in a loving way. You don't have to kiss up to him, right? You want to correct the man in a respectful way when you need to, but how you talk to him matters. One thing about men, their level of sensitivity increases with you as a woman, the more you mean to them. So your words matter. What you say to that man actually does matter. And you need to understand that power that you have as a woman and just the actual words that you use. You have life and death for the power of the tongue. The Bible tells us that, Proverbs 18:21. But as a woman, you specifically, you literally have life and death in the power of your tongue when it comes to the man in your life. And so you need to be mindful of those 3 things. If you have to set up a communication calendar, do so. Hey, listen, on Friday at 8 o'clock, we're going to talk for 30 minutes, right? If you have to set that up, you get to a place like Carrington said, where you're so busy because of business or work, or all that goes on with life, then do that. But just be intentional. Intentionality is big in everything, in communication and dating and just in building your relationship. A lot of people get lost, I think, in the flow of life. And then as their relationship begins to deteriorate, they don't see it until it's too late.
And how to keep your man mentally stimulated. A part of emotional intelligence is paying attention to others' emotions and their what's happening with them. So I think this is a part of this, being emotionally intelligent with your partner, paying attention to what's happening in their life. Carrington mentioned the changes that happens in life. And so as so many changes are happening, are you paying attention to the changes when he comes home and he's mentioning this and he's talking about that? And so, and then you're just like, okay, well, did you pick up the kids, or did you drop this off, or did you get this? And so you didn't hear what he said, and that's important to him. It may not be important to you, but it's important to him. You know, even something as simple as, okay, Carrington, they're struggling in Dallas right now. You know, there's some people struggling with in Dallas with the Cowboys. So maybe
I'm a Ravens fan, so
maybe a conversation about that. About, you know, if he's a Cowboy fan, okay, let's have a conversation about it. But the bottom line is paying attention to where your partner is, because you may start talking about something that was 3 years ago. He's done with that. He's moved on from that. Oh, I thought you liked this. No, I'm done with that. I don't do that anymore. You know, so just paying attention and updating. Our phones update on a regular basis. Sometimes in relationships, we don't. We're still stuck back. Well, you used to like that. Yeah, that was when we met. You know, that was 12 years ago. I don't do that anymore. Like, I'm done with that. So the paying attention as you go along to the different seasons and changes that happen in life, and then making sure you're up on that season. And again, you know, I'm a big fan of seasons, because I love the flow, how God made that. It just happens, and you have to keep up with the seasons. So, and when wintertime comes, you have to adjust to wintertime. You have to get a coat now. You have to get a scarf. You have to get gloves. So you have to be paying attention to what the season is. If you're not paying attention, then again, you're talking like summer, and I'm already in fall right here. And so like, and so there's a miscommunication. So please pay attention to what's important to him, to what he's thinking about, what his current events in his life, so to speak. What are the current events in his life? You know, is he thinking about police brutality right now? Is he thinking about voting? Is he thinking about sports or whatever it is? But just pay attention to where he is. That'll help keep him mentally stimulated, because what's important to him, you're paying attention to, and you're talking to him about that.
Good. That's so good. So we have a question from the chat. She says, my question is, what are your thoughts? I believe her name is Shayna. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. What are your thoughts as to men demanding sex in a way that is unhealthy and leads the woman to give in when she really does not want to?
So once again, so once again, as I said on the last question, so situations like that should be really taken care of proactively before they even arise. But if you're in a situation where the man in your life is, quote unquote, forcing you to be intimate, you guys need to definitely sit down and have a conversation with that and get clarity about what sex is and what it means to him, right? Because a lot of times the issue is that, and this is what everybody experiences, well, not everybody, but a lot of times people experience, sex has levels and stages. Let me say it like that. And so as an individual in pursuit of intentional dating, serious relationships, commitments, marriage, your level and perspective about sex needs to grow with the elevation of your relationship. Right? When you're young, when you're single, let's say you just out here, right? Sex ain't about intimacy to you. It's about entertainment, right? But once you become serious in a relationship and you become married, it can still be entertaining, but it's more so about intimacy. It's more so about us growing together. It's more so about coming together, learning each other, and becoming one with each other. And so if an individual is forcing you to do that, then you guys need to get on the same plane about what sex actually means to both of y'all, so that we can have that conversation and get clarity and come to a compromise about what it is to you, what it is to me. Okay, if this is the situation, once again, what were your expectations coming into this relationship? Okay, my expectations were this. Okay, if we got two different expectations, then let's sit down and create a compromise, right? If we need to schedule it out, cool, right? If we need to say, okay, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and twice on Sunday is going down, cool, let's get that on the books so it's no question marks. But you have to have the conversation. You guys have to have clarity. We got to have an equal understanding. And you got to do what you got to do for the relationship. So that's what I would say to that.
Guys?
I think when it comes to the word demand, anytime you feel that someone is demanding something from you, you feel a sense of bondage in that situation where like your rights might be taken away from you. Love never demands. There's a difference between requesting and demanding. So when a man is demanding something from you, he's already coming from an unhealthy place, from my perspective. I think, like Carrington said, you have to have those conversations. You have to sit them down and let them know where your mind at, where your heart is. And more important, you have to express from a woman's perspective how that makes you feel when he approaches you in that way. Because maybe he doesn't understand that. Maybe he's looking at it from a perspective because you're giving in, like, okay, she's with this, so everything is cool. But when you sit down and talk to him, you break it down, and you say, hey, when you come and demand this from me or this certain position or whatever it is, this is how this makes me feel. I don't feel loved. I don't feel accepted. I don't feel connected to you in this moment. And maybe by you talking to him, it will give him clarity what's going on. And then you can revise how you approach that situation.
That's good.
I second both of those from Carrington and for Joseph. I mean, you guys really, those are really, really great points. I'd also add the, again, Joseph mentioned the word demand, and the word that came to my head was force. And when it comes to any sexuality, any type of force is just completely out of line. And so when it comes to sex, if a person is forcing that, if they're demanding that, so then it could be in a realm of a selfish act. This is just about me. It's not about you. And so, we want to try to have sex to where it's about both of us. It's not, masturbation with a partner like that. No, that's not okay. It should be both people engaging in that activity. And, to Joseph's point, expressing how you feel. Carrington mentioned teaching people how to love you. So teaching people how to love you, teaching people how to have sex with you, how to connect sexually as well. So if you continue to accept that and then that breeds more of that. So it's important to have that difficult conversation again and say, hey, look, this is how I feel, and this is how that makes me feel. And so, put him on notice about that and let him know that this is not okay. Like, I don't feel good about that, and I want to feel, I want to be more responsive to you. Again, like they say, help me help you. But communication is important in that piece. But just the piece of just demanding and enforcing is that means something's really out of line. And then it sounds like the couple just slid into that circumstance and you're just in there without intentionality. And so I'd say interject some intentionality to that and some open communication about that issue.
That's good. I like all three answers. That was right on point. Ladies, drop in the chat what you have learned so far. And we're going to keep this show rolling. So how do you know if there's something that they need, like your man needs, but you aren't able to give him, or you're not giving him because you don't even know? Maybe he has a wall up, but it's something. There's something off. There's something not right. And if there's something that you're doing that's wrong, but you don't know. There's a wall, there's something going on. How do you get past that wall to have that communication, that communication back open, I would say?
So Dom, you got to go in.
I just want to say, just real quick, first you have to address why the communication was closed.
Yeah.
Why won't I listen to you? And so, addressing that, I think, is really important. We're talking communication and addressing why did I close up to you? And so, because for us, for men, that reason why we closed is there before us all the time until it's addressed. And so I think addressing that is really, really important when trying to communicate. But again, and this is, to Carrington's point, these are things that we should be talking about beforehand. And if we're already in it, we should be setting those boundaries as we go through in the relationship. But I do think Because if my wall is up, it doesn't matter what you say. My wall's up. I don't care what you're talking about. It doesn't matter. So you have to address that wall.
Absolutely. And so just to piggyback on that, one, as women, like one thing I want all of y'all, if y'all don't already know, this is like majority of men are trained not to be transparent. Like, majority of us are brought up and it's invested in us and deposited in us. You don't talk, keep it to yourself. You a man, deal with it, suck it up, keep going. And so the way that we're brought up and what's deposited in us says it doesn't matter, like don't talk about it. And so my wife and I had this issue. One day we were coming home, we were driving home from a road trip, and she was like, baby, you just seem like you be going through so much and you don't tell me nothing. Like, I want you to be more transparent with me, like what's going on. And I was like, to be honest, baby, I don't think you care. So I don't tell you nothing. And she was like, why would you think that? And I told her the mindset that gets, I would say, like forced into the mind of men. And she was like, well, that's not me. And so after we had that conversation, I, as the man, had to make the choice to give her an opportunity to prove that she meant what she said. And so as a woman in a relationship where her man is closed off, what you have to understand is it is necessary for two things. One, for you to give him permission to be transparent and then create an environment to where he can be, right? And so what that looks like is allowing him the opportunity to be transparent in stages, right? If I say one thing that I never told you before, or I choose to in this moment say, hey, that hurt my feelings, don't call me a punk. Don't call me weak. Don't call me soft. Like, don't disrespect me for being transparent with you. Say, okay, baby, if that's how you feel, let's talk about it then so we can get an understanding about it. Because when you do that, then it's like, oh, okay, she really do care about me. Like she does want to know how I feel. Like that right. Stuff was a lot that I was taught. But as a woman, that's one of the things that's one of the challenges that you guys are going to have to do and deal with, right? You got to give a man permission to be transparent, and you have to create and cultivate that environment of transparency.
I want to hop on what Karatine is saying, because what you're saying is so key. You have to gain the trust of a man. I actually did a video about this. You have to gain the trust of a man through the way that you respond to him. So every man takes a chance at least once, right? Where he has a moment of vulnerability with you, where he'll tell you something that's important to him. Maybe you don't see it as important, like Dom said earlier, but it's important to him. Based on how you respond to him, will either tell him if he can trust you with more or less. And so if you respond to him in a sarcastic or critical way, he's going to stonewall you, which means he's going to shut down. He's not going to tell you anything else, because he's like, I already took a chance. I got hurt from sharing this information with you. You didn't take it seriously. You made a joke about it or whatever it was. Respected him, so he shut you off. If you create the culture, which I agree totally with Karatine was said, if you every time, it's not babying him, it's just taking into consideration of what he's saying to you and showing through your action, your words, that it's important to you, that man will continue to open up to you. He will continue to invest more into you and be more vulnerable with you. So it's all about your response to him. You don't need to agree with everything he says, but the same way that you want to feel loved and cherished as a woman, men want to feel respected. And one of the ways they feel respected is by the way you respond to what they say to you. It's by the way you respond to what they bring to you. It's already hard enough for men because, like these gentlemen have alluded to, we are trained from childhood to suppress everything we feel. A lot of men deal with anger and suicide at a high rate for this very reason, because they don't know how to deal with their emotions. So when he feels vulnerable enough to talk to you, listen to him. Don't make jokes. Don't be sarcastic. Show that you care. And if you practice that, he will open up more and more with you.
That's I want to say one thing, because this really, what both of these men said, that is huge. I consider emotions a language. Emotions is a language. Typically females grow up learning the language. You learn a lot of words in that language. We only know 2 words in that language, typically anger and happy. Those are the only 2 words we know. And so when I try to start speaking that language, if you make fun of me speaking that language, I'm never going to speak again. And that's just I just kept thinking about that. I'm trying to speak a language. you know, please, you know, as Carrington said, provide the environment for me to help, for me to speak that language of emotion, because we are not taught that. We are taught never, don't do that. We don't use that V word, vulnerability. That's not the V word we use. And so, but that environment is really important to both of these gentlemen's points.
That's so good. I love all three. Last question, and I wish we had more time. Mm-hmm. What does submission look like to you all? What does submission look like to a man? You hear it all the time, and some people use it very wrong. But what would you all say? You're on mute, Carrington.
Oh, my bad. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Got you. Have you ever seen that scene from Coming to America where the lady went to the back with Eddie Murphy and he was like, bark like I'm playing? No. So this is the thing.
Bark like that.
Yeah. I brought that up to be funny, but the point. So that's the image of submission that the world has and has provided.
Yeah.
And it ain't got nothing to do with that, right? Submission looks like the ability to trust somebody else to lead, guide, and direct, right? And so when it comes to what it looks like, a lot of times, okay, so this is what I tell men, right? I tell men, especially when you're married, primarily when you're married, if you're in a marriage and your woman haven't submitted to you, it's not her fault, it's your fault. Because that means you haven't given her the confidence to trust your decision making. And I also tell men that you have to understand that it's your responsibility as a leader to teach and train your wife how to submit to you by submitting first, right? Not to that woman, but to God. And so as a man, it's our responsibility to actually teach our women how to submit to us by the way that we submit to God. Because the more we submit to God and the more that they see the fruit of that, they're going to say, you know what? He been serving the Lord and praying and fasting and on his face and in church and hands raised and praising, and he walked in alignment and he treat me good and he take care of me and he nurture me and he showed me off to everybody. I'm seeing all of this fruit in our life simply because his submission to God. So if he's allowed God to lead him, then why would I follow him, right? And do God, so that I could continuously get that fruit in this relationship. So it doesn't mean being dominated. It doesn't mean a man running you and telling you what to do and giving you having trackers on your car. That's not what submission looks like. That's crazy and insanity. Submission looks like the willingness to actually trust that other person to make decisions for you. That's what it looks like.
You're telling the truth. You're telling the truth. Joseph or Dom?
I like what Carrington said, and I agree wholeheartedly. I think everything as a man starts with your relationship with God. And so that has to be the center of everything that you do. That's where it starts. And so I believe one of the ways that you gain the trust of one is through your lifestyle. Do you walk in character and integrity? How do you conduct yourself? How do you interact with people? Your decisions that you're making every single day, but also your willingness to make the tough decisions that she won't always agree with. I think respect really starts to develop for a woman when she understands that he's not going to always agree with me, but he's going to continue to focus on making the decision that's best for him and for us. I believe that's the beginning stages of where she begins to submit or have an opportunity to do so. And as a woman, you understanding that you're submitting to his leadership, you're submitting to his provision, which is not just financially, but also spiritually, mentally, emotionally. Like you're submitting to him, like saying, like, I'm putting my trust in you. I am following you as you follow Christ. So as I continue to see that you're following Christ, I trust to follow you because I know who's guiding you. Like you're not trusting in you, you're trusting something greater than you. So I can submit to that. And just submission itself is something that we're called to do in the body of Christ. It's not just in marriage. Like we're called to submit to one another out of love. So it's just understanding the responsibility that a man has been given. As we are to be leaders, as Christ is the head of the church, we have been called as husbands to lead our families as well. So we really have to shift our perspective on that. Submission is not slavery. It's the willingness to humble yourself and allow yourself to be led. I want to say that again, just in case someone needs to hear that. Submission is not
People
slavery.
in the back.
It's not slavery. It's your willingness to humble yourself to be led. So when you are taking that position as a wife, or you're in your position to be a wife, understand that you are taking a position, you're humbling yourself and say, okay, I am trusting you to guide our family because I know the type of man that you are, and I know who's leading you. So I'm trusting the process.
I'm going to go the same place that these gentlemen are going, just going to take a different route. When I'm looking at submission and thinking about that, it doesn't always have to look like the same thing. You know, it doesn't always have to look like me leading you, you following me. It does not always have to look like that. When you look at today's woman, and today's women, by plenty of factors that have pushed them into the forefront a lot of ways. Women are more independent today. Women are doing things on their own. They're opening businesses. They're getting PhDs. They're doing what I see that as is that they're actually utilizing their gifts that God gave them. God did not just give them just the gift to sit behind me. You know, they have their own gifts. They have their own platforms. And so for me, the submission piece is us submitting to each other, and us looking at, you know, for me, I want to see my partner fully maximize her gifts, and whatever those are, because God formed her, you know, by her. I wasn't there. And then once we got together, yes, we become one. And I'm charged with leadership, but I also want to know, what gifts did God give you? And I want you to maximize those. So I'm going to support you 100% in maximizing your gifts. But you know, that I'm just of the thought of just learning a different way of doing it, because you know, when we speak about leading, how many of us men actually have watched or have witnessed or have seen leadership? We haven't. So we don't know the first thing about it. And then you have someone coming to you saying, hey, lead now. And then you're like, well, I don't know what is it? I didn't have a dad. I didn't have it. And so how do we do that? You know, how do we do that? And so that's another side to this coin. But at the end of the day, the submission it's an important part of a relationship, because, you know, you guys mentioned trust. Submission is trust. I trust you to make these difficult decisions. I trust you to do what's best for our family. And so I think that's really, really important, but also understanding that it does not always look like, you know, what it looked like back in the 20s, you know, or the 30s. Like there's something different happening now. And does my wife, who, you know, has a PhD and owns 4 businesses, does she, you know, what does submission look like for her? You know, what does submission look like for, you know, my wife who is on a TV show? What does it look like? And so the concept of submission is I think it's the same, but adjusting to what it is. And, you know, today I think is something that we have to look at and customizing it to your relationship.
The ladies are saying glory to God for you all. They love that. Hello, somebody. They're giving hand claps of praise. They're telling you all to preach. So
If I can add something to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
If I can, I think there are 2 forms of leadership that are healthy in relationships. I think the first is active leadership, which is not always the man, but the woman can take on roles of leadership as well if she has more knowledge or intuition in that area. So it's not always the men taking the first step forward. So I think you can alternate in that role as far as leadership, depending on the situation. But I also think there's participative leadership, where both of you come together and you make joint decisions together, and you both are operating in a leadership role. So yes. I don't think it's so traditional where it's always a situation where the man is just always stepping and taking the foot forward. Right. It's in that building that connection and communication where it could be either active or participative.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
That's so good. Ladies, please give the gentlemen some more claps in the chat, some hearts. I share with them what you all put in there. I'm just going to add this because everything they said is spot on point. Like I was taking notes myself. I want us as a tribe to erase the language that I am just this. I'm just a mom. I'm just a wife. I'm just a teacher. I'm just an entrepreneur. Like we just erase that language from our tongues like tonight, right? If you're single right now, this is prime time. Like this be season. This is your groundbreaking season. Like your self-esteem should be on point. Your boundaries should be set. Your self-love should be through the roof. Your relationships, friendships, partnerships should be on point. There was a lady by the name of Lydia in the Bible. She sold like a royal purple cloth of fabric. And at that time, purple meant royalty. So people that had coins were coming to her, to get this fabric. She had her own house. She was able to provide shelter for Paul and Luke to come stay at her home. And you could tell she was single because she said, come stay in my house. If you got a man, y'all got to have a conversation about strangers coming to stay with you. She was able to provide shelter and safety, and she had a business. So right now you have unlimited time to pay attention to stuff, be detail oriented in your career or your business. You can ask yourself if you want to move across the country. All I did when I moved to California was ask God and myself. Everybody in my family said it was a terrible idea, but it's been the best. I wouldn't have started SOULKATION had I not moved to California. We wouldn't even be here today. So you have this opportunity to make groundbreaking decisions right now with you and God having that conversation. Your options are like limitless. If you're a wife, saying that you're just a wife, that's a lie. If you've ever prayed for your husband, ever spoken encouraging words to him, people meet your encouraging words when he's out representing you all. They meet your answered prayer when they meet your spouse. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but Barack Obama, anytime he talks about Michelle, he takes a deep breath, he pauses, he takes his time, because he doesn't even have enough time to talk about how much he respects and loves this woman, because she knows his insecurities. She knows, his self-doubt. She's come up and close and personal with things that have made him feel very shameful. And she loves him anyway. She's standing there right there with him. So to say you're just a wife, that's a lie. You're his friend, you're his confidant, you're a secret keeper, you're his organizer, you're his protector, and if you're that for him, you're probably that for other people. For those of you who are moms, sweetie, you just gave birth to somebody that literally could change somebody else's life. You've given other people a best friend. You've given somebody else an auntie. You've given them, let's say you have an attorney and they save somebody else from having to spend or, pay millions of dollars for a company. You gave birth to that person. Let's say you don't want to have kids. Even your words to somebody in your neighborhood or to a cousin or to a niece or nephew could change their life. Your word and your womb could change generations of people that you never, ever could meet. So moving forward, if somebody asks you who you are, ask them if they have time, because you have commas behind every title, okay? I'm mom, but I'm also special. I'm a sister, but I'm also love. I'm a consultant, but I'm also set apart. I'm a loan officer, but I'm also chosen. I'm favored and I'm forgiven. Ask them if they have time, because you got to drop some commas. Everybody type in the chat, put some respect on my commas. Okay, because so many titles, there's so many things that you're great at, so many things that you're talented at. So to say that you're just one thing, that's a lie. Okay, that's what we're gonna do, and that's how we're gonna rock in the SOULKATION tribe. I love you all too. Gentlemen, please tell these ladies where they can find you. If you have a course coming out, a book, you have services that you provide, maybe you can talk to some of they men. Please share your social media information and your website so these ladies can connect with you.
My website is dwaltower.com. You can reach me there. You can also reach me on Instagram. That's King, KING.DOM, the number 41. So king.dom41 on Instagram, and Kingdom on Facebook as well.
Kingdom, y'all heard that? Did y'all hear these men talking about the father upstairs, two ladies? Praise him. Okay. And Aaron and Joseph.
Yeah, I go next. So on social media, Instagram, I'm at the Carrington Brown. Facebook, the Carrington Brown. When we talk about programs and products, my wife and I actually just released a product about a week and a half ago called the Doing Date and Write Academy. And it's for singles who are either ready to date or got some recovery they need to go through before they get ready to date. And so we've been happily married for 6 years. And so we've given everything that we learned from coaching, counseling, research, and speaking engagements, saving marriages, all of that beautiful stuff in this program. And then along with that, I have a group coaching program that is a part of this called Prepare for You, where we're doing most weeks 1 call a week, some weeks 2 calls, because we're doing a personal development call as well. If you would like to be a part of that, once again, IG at the Carrington Brown, click the link in my bio and let's make it happen.
For those of you who are recovering from dating online and people about who they are, sign up for that course.
Got you.
Joseph.
I don't know if I'm as famous as these guys, but you can follow me on IG at I am Joseph. No products or services right now as far as books or things offered, but coaching always available, primarily for men, but also for couples. Podcast is in waiting, so I'll keep you guys posted on that. Yeah, IG, I am Joseph Kemp. You can follow me on the gram.
Thank you all so much. I truly, I couldn't have done it without you, because the men have to be there to tell all, right? I mean, we have so many more questions that the ladies sent in. I mean, we might have to do a part 2 next year. What y'all think?
Let's do it.
I'm with it.
Yeah, sounds good.
Let's do it. And I have to say that I want to say to Carrington and Joseph, I really enjoyed this conversation with you two. It's the first time I'm meeting these brothers, and I appreciate you bringing us together, because I'm better because I know these two gentlemen now, and I thank you for sharing your wisdom.
I love bromance.
No, it's been great, man. It has. I'm glad to just have the opportunity to do it.
Good show.
Okay, I agree. All right, ladies, we're out. Thank you all so much. We had somebody said that they're in recovery right now. Carrington might be getting a message too. But all right, ladies, we'll catch you for part 2 in 2021. And if you all have more questions, make sure you send them in. Have a good night, everybody.